Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Goldie Show, where I stream daily live, 12 noon till about 2 o'clock. I want to give a shout out to the mods and, of course, all the members. Thank you for joining me. So per your request, I'm going to talk about what's happening in Sudan. This is going to be probably a several part episode because in order to, I guess, fully understand what's happening right now, you need a lot of background sort of info in there. Ultimately, what's happening is, innocent people are being murdered, and you've seen the images, you've seen the videos, and it's absolutely horrific. This has actually been going on for quite a while. Things got heated up a few days ago. Now, I did want to bring someone on, a good friend of mine. His name is Josim. He's unable to come on today and speak about this, but I will have him on next week. And the reason that I'm speaking about Sudan right now, even though I like to do a little bit of research before and prepare, is because I'm starting to see this concerted push and effort from Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera is basically the Muslim Brotherhood mouthpiece. And there's also this concerted push and effort against the UAE and Israel. And the whole thing is a mess, guys. The whole thing is a mess. So I did find a summary that Mahyar Tusi from Tusi TV just put out maybe about half an hour to an hour ago. I'm going to play that for you. But before I do so, I just want to play this voice recording. So my friend Josim, he did actually send me a voice recording. So this is him on X. If you don't follow him, he's a great guy, very, very smart political analyst from the UAE. Oh, sorry, not from the UAE, from Kuwait. And I'm going to have him on next week, but he sent me a summary. I'm going to play this for you. And then you'll get an appreciation of just how complicated the situation is. Once I play this for you, we're going to go back and I'm going to break it down for you little by little. But this is just sort of to give you an understanding of what exactly is happening here. Let me play this for you guys.
Oh, of course, everyone will go after the Emirates now. So look, Al-Burhan is representing the SAF, okay, Sudanese Army Forces. And he has been linked with the jihadist militants in Al-Sudan. Everyone who says Allahu Akbar, everyone who is killing the people and taking selfies with, they are from the SAF. Okay, so he needed some army forces with the help of Turkey, Egypt, and Qatar to bring down Hamiditi, the RSF. So Hamiditi is they were allies, by the way, both of them. They were allies until the 2023. After that conflict happened, with which the Emirates pushed that conflict to happen, and then the war started. The Brotherhood had a project to overtake Sudan once again, because the entire Sudan was under the Brotherhood for over, I think, 35 years. Okay, and the previous president of Sudan, he was Omar al-Bashir. He's a Brotherhood guy. Sorry. So the Emirates wants to take down the Brotherhood ideology from the region, no matter what it takes, because Sudan is also another threat to Emirates' financial and economical channels. They were fighting to get the Port Sudan and other ports under the control of the Emirates, so they can secure all the the ships that are embarking the Emirates and going around the world. So and the Emirates are in the ports management business. They manage ports in the United States. I think they have parts of them in Europe. And Erdogan and Egypt, they were competing with the Emirates. Look, it's not going to make sense to you when you look at the topic from the Emirates and the Egyptians are allies, so they have to be allies all the way. No. Al-Sisi now is playing a different game, and that game is like also it's a part of a competition that is happening between the Emirates and the Saudi Arabia. So the Egyptians are backing the Saudi Arabia, and that's why you're trying to see now the Emirates are trying to get closer to the Egyptians emotionally and ideologically. So it's terrible. It's terrible. So the Emirates are supporting Hamiditi. And Hamiditi is the one who wants to overthrow the Al-Burhan. Okay. So when you look at this, a conflict from if you zoom out and you look at the macro level, you can see that the Brotherhood, which is like Erdogan, Qatar, part of Egypt, they're trying to help Al-Burhan to be in the power, because they think that this is much easier to control the Brotherhood rather than throwing them out. And the Emirates, they have a different strategy. They said, we have to defeat all the Brotherhood in the region. Russia are backing the Emirates. That's another part that you can focus on. The United States are backing the Emirates, not Qatar and not Saudi, not Turkey, in this file. So it's super complicated. But the ones who are using the jihadists are not Hamiditi. It's from the SAF, not the not the RSF. So, yeah, just a brief, on what is going on, and the other insights can be discussed, when the time occurs. Thank you, Habibti. The IRGC are supporting Erdogan in this. And this is the first time the IRGC are going against Russia. So you can see how big it is. So everyone is trying to keep the jihadists and the Brotherhood militias around because they share the same, ideology with the IRGC, and they have the same structural system. And the organization of the IRGC are in a very good terms with the Brotherhood and the jihadists in Sudan. So, yeah.
So that was a very brief and so-called simple summary of what's happening in Sudan right now. And if you're confused, don't worry about it. I will walk you through everything he said step by step so that you can fully understand the context here. Let me pull up this was an intro video, like an introductory. Mayar Tusi from Tusi TV just played this, just streamed this about an hour ago. There's some parts that, I don't like, there's some parts he misses out. But, let's play this because this also provides sort of a good, 101 summary for people who aren't familiar with the term. So I'll play this and then I'll go back to the audio recording that my friend Jossam sent me, and I'll break it down for you so you can see exactly what's happening here.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome.
And I watched quite a number of summaries, actually. This is probably the most objective summary that I can find because, there are so many sides and so many players here. The one thing that I want to stress, guys, is that the way that I see it, there is no good side, right? So whether it's the SAF or the RSF, neither one is the good side, right? This is a conflict. The way I see it, both sides are pretty terrible. And unfortunately, it's the civilians who are the victims of this conflict between these two armies, right? And as you can tell, a whole bunch of countries are involved here. So on one side, on the SAF side, so SAF would be the like Islamic militant side, right? On the SAF side, you have Turkey, Egypt, the Islamic Republic of Iran, Qatar, Saudi Arabia. And then on the RSF side, so those are they're also militants, but they're not Islamic militants. RSF, you have the United Arab Emirates, you have the United States, and you have Russia on that side there. So interesting how things are sort of playing out here. And one of the things to keep in mind is there is a concerted effort and push by the Muslim Brotherhood and Al Jazeera to paint like they're basically taking the videos from the SAF. So all of those videos you see of the men who are like yelling Allahu Akbar and filming themselves murdering civilians, those are the SAF side. So that's the side of Turkey, Egypt, Qatar, Islamic Republic, Saudi Arabia. Yeah. Okay. So I just want to put it out there because a lot of people are claiming that those are, it's one side or the other. But from what I'm seeing, those are all the jihadist side. And there is an element of jihad to what's going on. Tusi gets into that, though. He does get into the history of it. So he does provide a good basic understanding of how Arab colonialism has worked in that region. So let's just watch this.
To Tusi TV, your global news channel. I'm Maya Tusi, and we come to you guys with the latest news update, this time from Sudan, as the civil war has escalated over the last day or two, especially the last few hours, as civilians are continuing to be targeted, especially the Christians in Sudan. And of course, the political left, the liberal progressives across the Western world continue to be absolutely silent because no Jews, no news continues. We're going to give you guys the latest updates, all the information about this, and the situation might seem a little bit confusing for a lot of people, especially if for some reason you've decided to watch the mainstream media reporting on this. We're going to explain to you everything.
And you guys, one thing I want to say, the mainstream media always gets it wrong because they don't understand the full context. They don't understand the history. They don't understand what the actual intentions are. And so very similar to how they constantly get it wrong when it comes to the Islamic Republic, or how they get it wrong with, like, you know, Hamas or whatever, they're getting it wrong here as well. And Al Jazeera, of course, Al Jazeera is pushing the Islamist jihadi narrative, which the mainstream media are picking up
In an objective way, and explain what side is what and who is supporting which side.
So Egypt, so basically like funding and military support, yeah.
Which could get a little bit complex, but of course we're going to take you through this together. If you're watching this live, we're going to get your reaction in the live chat, and of course leave a comment as well. Let me know what you think. First things first, this whole thing obviously erupted in April 2023. It's been going on for about 2 years now, over 2 years, but things have escalated over the last few days. A power grab after the failed civilian transition. So far we've had over 150,000 people who have been killed. 12 million people have been displaced. This is the world's largest crisis, objectively speaking. No urgency from the United Nations, really. No urgency from the ICJ, the ICC, the liberal lefties, Greta Thunberg. Famine is, of course, happening, but nobody cares. Right. This is all about the battle between two major sides. The SAF, so let's just call them, they are the official army of Sudan. They are basically in charge. They did a coup, controlled by the military. And then the RSF, they are the paramilitary, they are the militias fighting against the SAF. SAF, the military of Sudan, are backed by the Muslim Brotherhood. They are pro-Islamists. RSF are anti-Islamists, but they are Arab supremacists. So I'm going to explain exactly the difference. First things first. Look at the map. The yellow section is the RSF, the Rapid Support Forces. The green section is the Sudanese Armed Forces, the SAF. They still control, obviously, the majority.
So guys, just to, you know, I'll go over this, but just to, you know, clarify, is like the official Sudanese army. And then the RSF are the like the militia proxy groups, right? Again, it doesn't necessarily mean the army is good and the proxy groups are bad. In fact, it's the army that is the Islamists here, right? It's the army of the SAF that's going around murdering Christians, yelling Allahu Akbar.
Sudan, but of course, the move from the Rapid Support Forces of the militias is actually increasing. So let me tell you first about, we have a lot of videos, by the way. Some of them are going to be graphic, but it's important for the facts to get out there, especially footage from the innocent Christians in Sudan who are being targeted. Just a heads up, but it's important for you to know the truth, mostly because this civil war is now going global. It's affecting the rest of the world, especially the Western world, not just in terms of mass migration. You are going to have that even more, but also in terms of the influence of the Islamists, the Muslim Brotherhood, and their proxies. All right, first things first, let's talk about
That's critical, guys. So that part, like, we're already starting to see that, where you have the pro-Hamas funded, you know, pro-Pali people, whatever, in the West, who have already started with their demonstrations, and they're basically accusing the UAE of genocide, even though the genocide is coming from their side. It's coming from the Islamists, right? So again, it's like they're turning the narrative around here. My understanding is part of the reason they're doing this is because Qatar is trying to, I guess, go after, like, Qatar and the UAE are at odds because Qatar supports the Muslim Brotherhood and the UAE does not. The UAE wants to get rid of the Muslim Brotherhood at all costs. So keep that in mind. The at all costs is very important here as well. Major says Islamic State Africa is manipulating the situations happening now by monopolizing the stupidity of the so-called superpowers. 100%, 100%. That's definitely here. Okay, so guys, you have to understand there's beef between Qatar and the UAE, right? UAE is totally against Muslim Brotherhood, wants to destroy it. Qatar supports the Muslim Brotherhood, and the SAF. Okay, so the current Sudanese army is one of the branches of the Muslim Brotherhood, the same way that Hamas is the Palestinian branch of the Muslim Brotherhood, right? So the Muslim Brotherhood is all over. It's all over. So keep that in mind here.
The Sudanese army, they're pro-Islamists. They are the official national army. They've been in charge essentially since the 2019 coup that they did. They are linked to the Muslim Brotherhood. They've been accused of war crimes, of blocking democracy, empowering Islamist militias, and they are terrified of being prosecuted for the 2003 genocide in Darfur. Now, that's that side. So it seems like not good guys. There are no good side on this, for the record. Let's talk about the RF.
So I agree with that 100%. There are no good sides here. Both are involved in, in a conflict for their own self-interests, and unfortunately, it's the civilians who are paying the price.
SF, the opponents. Who are they? They are the paramilitary militia. They are against Islamists, Muslim Brotherhood, but they have a different problem. They were also evolved from the 2003 genocide. Both RSF and SAF are basically from the same side about 20 years ago. They went their different ways. They, RSF, the opponents, they've been accused of ethnic cleansing and mass killing. They are allegedly tied to the UAE side in Dubai. They do fight radical Islamism, but their army, their military, are essentially chasing gold mines. And that's the interest coming from the UAE. And I'm going to explain, there's a whole list. We're going to show you which side, which country is supporting which side, by the way. Both of them obviously are the offshoots of Omar al-Bashir's 30-year dictatorship between 1989 to 2019, right? So that's the explanation of the two sides. But the Arab Islamist gangs are kidnapping and rounding up Christian women and children for slavery. Over 3,000 of them have been killed in the last few days. Let's go to the first video.
تقدم وجبة واحدة في اليوم الواحد أي الفطور فقط ولم تعد هناك أي وجبة غذائية تقدم لهؤلاء الناس.
They're all being taken for
وجبة واحدة
slavery.
في اليوم. لذلك نرى الهزال على أجساد الأطفال والنساء بسبب الجوع.
Disgusting.
No one ever really talks about the fact that there is still a thriving Arab slave trade. No one ever really talks about that. But it's there. People just really don't know about it.
بسبب الحصار الجائر الذي تفرضه قوات الدعم السريع. مشاهد قاسية.
Now, why are the leftists, the liberal progressives, so quiet? Perhaps people like Greta Thunberg don't even know where Sudan is. Perhaps because they don't care, because the Jews are not involved or the Western side directly. Even though Islamists are killing thousands, and of course the Arab supremacists are also killing thousands. Greta, where are you? This is happening on the ground right now. It's absolute silence. We're not going to show you the end of this because, as you can imagine, yep, that's the end of that man's life. The last few seconds of it. Now, satellite images now confirm that over El Fasher's Darajia neighborhood, it appears to show evidence of door-to-door clearance operation. Absolutely insane.
So again, so these images that are circulating on social media where you can see the blood of people from satellite images. So that is the SAF doing that, right? That's the Sudanese Armed Forces who are doing this. My understanding is these were Christians. So what we are seeing here are it's the Islamist genocide here. And again, the Sudanese Armed Forces, you know, the official military, I guess, of Sudan, is backed and supported by Turkey, Egypt, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, right? The Islamic Republic of Iran. So these images pertain to the SAF, which is currently in control of Sudan.
Ethnic cleansing. Now, the numbers you see on the screen, we can zoom in. On the number 1 is that you can see bodies and blood. And it's also the number 5, you can see their vehicle roadblocks, but their bodies are everywhere at this point, on the ground, across the whole area. Not a word, not a single word from the virtue signaling Free Palestine mob, because I don't think they want to even bother.
So the reason that the Free Palestine mob won't complain about this is because the people who are the Islamist military who's doing these current mass killings are linked to them, right? Again, they are a branch of the Muslim Brotherhood. Hamas is a branch of the Muslim Brotherhood. So they're not going to protest or demonstrate against their own side. Instead, what they are doing is they've already trying to counter the narrative, and they're trying to claim that this was the UAE doing it, and now they're blaming the UAE for genocide, even though it's the Muslim Brotherhood side doing it.
Do their own homework to find out exactly what's going on. So they'd rather just listen to CNN and Al Jazeera. They are gloating. They are celebrating.
And you know what's wild is like these Islamists are literally murdering people. So you can see this this murdered person in the background, and these Islamists are yelling Allahu Akbar, and yet people are trying to gaslight by saying this is they're trying to say this is the RSF, this is the other side, and this has nothing to do with religion. It is a multi-layered conflict, but Islamism definitely has something to do with it, and is certainly an element of what's going on, because ultimately the Muslim Brotherhood and the SAF, right? It's about the expansion of Islam. So they are using the current conflict as an excuse to genocide Christians in Sudan.
You can see innocent people, their bodies all over the place.
And again, like they're literally murdering people and yelling Allahu Akbar. That is like every single Islamic terrorist group does that. So for anyone to say that these people are not Islamic militants, they either don't understand what's going on, or they just don't want to admit it, or they're trying to gaslight, right?
We're also going to be giving you guys the latest update on Tanzania as the protests are escalating. But yeah, as I said, shortly after this, we're going to come back live on 2CTV with the latest update from Tanzania. The situation over there is also absolutely insane. But for now, we're going to focus on the RSF versus SAF, the Sudanese Islamist army, and of course, the other side. Let's be objective. Who do you think is backing the two sides? Well, it might get a little bit complicated. I'm going to simplify this. So sit down, try and focus. It's going to be difficult. SAF on the left-hand side, that's the Sudanese.
So again, so this on the left-hand side, that is the current army, and then on the right you have the RSF. So the ones on the left are the Islamists, right? This is the Muslim Brotherhood. These are the jihadis. The one on the right are the sort of Arab imperialists who are also murdering non-Arab Sudanese, right? So again, there's no good side here. But anyone who says that like Islamism or Islamic terrorism isn't a part of it is not fully comprehending the entire picture here, and does not understand why the Muslim Brotherhood, or maybe does not even know that the Muslim Brotherhood is there, or does not care, maybe supports the Muslim Brotherhood, who knows. The only thing that's missing from this graphic is the United States. The United States is backing the RSF, as you heard in the audio the voice audio from my friend Jassim, and I'll go back and replay that after. But I just wanted to point out that the United States is missing from here.
Islamist army backed by Muslim Brotherhood. RSF is on the right-hand side. These are the countries backing them. Let's talk about RSF first, on the right-hand side, okay? First things first, UAE are allegedly backing them. Of course, the government in UAE continue to deny these allegations. But Dubai is Sudan's top gold buyer, $115 billion, more than that actually. They basically trade in gold. It's very important for UAE and their wealth to have access to that. They also have an anti-Islamist crusade from Dubai. And that's their role. Russia has been backing both sides. Russia is the only country that's been backing both sides, funding both sides, training both sides, recently actually moved from RSF to SAF. But
I don't agree with that, because what Jassim was saying is that Russia is actually supporting the RSF, right? So Russia is supporting the militants. So I don't know if I agree with what he's saying there, because the RSF is backed by Russia as well.
when it was still backing the RSF side, on the right-hand side, the anti-government side, again, they were doing arms deals, they were doing gold deals, and since 2023, things have been changing because the gold fund has been actually helping Russia to fund the war against Ukraine. Ethiopia, they have diplomatic cover because they are hosting the talks between RSF, but they are backing the militants against the Sudanese army, SAF, to be against Egypt. This is over the Nile Dam tensions. That's not really as important. But Libya, they have a shared interest with UAE and also Russia in terms of the proxy games. But when you look at the left-hand side, that's the SAF, that's the Sudanese army. They are the Muslim Brotherhood Islamists, backed by Egypt and Muslim Brotherhood. Top military aids, they get training, they get pilots, they get jets. Big issue is about Nile water security, the dam threats. Saudi Arabia, they also back the Sudanese army because of finances and logistics. The Red Sea security and Vision 2030 is very important for Saudi Arabia. The Islamic Republic of Iran also backed the Sudanese army.
Of course.
They have arms deals for cash and influence. They also want to counter the UAE in the proxy wars. Of course, UAE and Iran are massive enemies. Turkey are backing the Sudanese side. Troops are training in Somalia. They are expanding Turkey's influence in order to bring back the Ottoman Empire 2.0. Qatar are backing the Sudanese army. They have political support, financial support, of course, Muslim Brotherhood ties, and they hate UAE. Russia, who've been backing both sides, are now officially backing SAF because of the naval base access. They also want to support the Islamic Republic of Iran in their fight against the UAE now. And they've also got enough gold from RSF. They don't really need them anymore. China.
So if this is like, I'm going to ask Jassim about this because he said, and you know, Jassim is way more of an expert on this than anyone I know. And you know, a lot of respect to Tusi, but like this is what Jassim does. I'll play his voice message again after, and I'm going to try to have him on my show next week to talk more in depth about it. But Russia is not on the SAF side. My understanding is Russia is on the RSF side. That's what he says.
Is of course involved. All the imperialist nations are currently there, apart from the Western side directly. China are giving the Sudanese army fighter jets. They also want to give them road stability and infrastructure because, of course, China wants influence. Ukraine are also allegedly backing the SAF. Special forces have been fighting the Wagner group, they obviously are mercenaries from Russia, over the gold deal funding. But now that Russia is on the SAF side, Ukraine are kind of slowly pulling back. So it's not looking good. But this is an actual and physical and literal genocide, which is being ignored by the West, at least the Western leftist establishment. Let's go to the next video.
Like, this is horrific. This is absolutely horrific. I mean, I don't understand what sort of mentality you can have to like massacre people, and then you take a video selfie of yourself doing it and you're smiling. I mean, these people are savages. Like it's insane. Like
بلنجاي ورالتين حرقناهم والله صباح صباح حرقناهم فتك والله الحمد لله والشكر لله انحرقوا والله نشووا مشاوي.
Yeah. Now, one problem is that we have actually received the latest updates, which we have just verified. UAE-backed RSF, the paramilitary group against the Sudanese army, the Islamist army, have now announced that they have officially arrested Abu Lulu, a senior commander of the Sudanese Islamist army, who was seen killing unarmed men and women, especially Christian civilians, in El Fasher. So this is a major news update.
I actually posted a video of him. Like there's a video of him, like this guy is like a war criminal. Like I don't even know how to describe it. Like he's not even human. There's so many videos of him where he films himself with his victims, like speaking to them, trying to be nice to them, and then he murders them right after. Like it's absolutely horrifying what he does.
And the Sudanese army, who are backed by the Muslim Brotherhood, are not doing too well right now. So this civil war has been going on for about 2 years. Is not just escalating. We might be seeing rapid change, radical change, which will affect the whole world, from China, the Middle East, Russia, Ukraine, and of course the Western world in general. Over the next few days, you're going to see absolutely radical things happening across the whole world because of this. Now, UAE, who've been accused of backing the RSF, the paramilitary group, RSF
they do. That's what Justin confirmed in the voicemail that he sent me.
We are anti-Islamist. We fight against the Muslim Brotherhood, but RSF are also killing civilians, right? UAE have had to come out today to condemn everybody. This is the official statement. The UAE mission to the UN said today in the Security Council, the UAE condemned the heinous attacks against civilians in El Fasher and called on the RSF to ensure the protection of civilians and humanitarian personnel. It called on both warring parties in Sudan's civil war to exercise restraint and comply fully with their obligations under international humanitarian law. The UAE reaffirmed its steadfast solidarity with the Sudanese people, announcing an additional $100 million to support life-saving humanitarian efforts in El Fasher. The UAE repeated its calls for a humanitarian truce.
So I have a feeling that the UAE is now coming out with this statement because they've probably lost control of the RSF, because like things have just gone insane in Sudan, and the violence has been escalating quite significantly. So I definitely see this as the UAE trying to save face somehow by putting out the statement at the UN.
Leading immediately to a permanent ceasefire and for a transition process towards independent, civilian-led government. Now, of course, it's in the interest of the UAE for this to stop, because, as we said, they have massive gold interest and they don't want any more conflict or chaos to stop that trade. But of course, the other sides also want the gold and the territory. So part of the people who are fighting or backing these two sides, the issue is the Nile Dam, which is near Egypt. Part of that's infrastructure, and also the rest of it is gold resources. The rest of it is just territory to stop the other side from getting it. So basically, the Iranian side are backing this side because they hate UAE. The UAE are backing this side because they hate the Muslim Brotherhood. It could get complicated, but that's just the nature of that region. Now, the Muslim Brotherhood-led army in Sudan have now claimed that they are building drones and rockets to strike Tel Aviv in Israel.
Of course, right? Because that's what Islamists do. So again, they're trying to deny that there is like an Islamic terrorism jihadi problem here. And yet, look, like the Islamists, right, are already claiming they're going to attack Israel. Oh my gosh, that's so true. If you ever feel useless, just remember the UN and the Red Cross still exist 100%. Yeah, two of the most useless institutions in the world right now, UN and Red Cross. I'm actually going to be doing a live stream at some point talking about how corrupt the United Nations actually is. So stay tuned for that one.
Even though Israel are not involved in any of this, but what they are trying to do, I'm going to show you the video of the speech, by the way. The Sudanese Islamists, what they are doing is they are trying to ramp up support from around the world, from all the Islamist side. Any Islamist, whether you are in Qatar, whether you are in Michigan, in the US, whether you are in Gaza. So what they decided to do is to jump on the bandwagon of anti-Israel. They've now made an announcement that we are not just going to be destroying the UAE-backed RSF, but we're all, and the Christians, but we're all now going to be attacking Tel Aviv in Israel. From Khartoum to Gaza.
Guys, okay, so did you catch that? Let me go back because he said the word. Wait, let me pull it up.
To be attacking Tel Aviv in Israel. From Khartoum to Gaza.
Okay, you see that? You see that? Do you see how they're referring to themselves as mujahideen? Okay, so the SAF are Islamists, and what they are doing is part of this, global jihad that's being funded by Qatar, okay, the Muslim Brotherhood, right, and to some degree the Islamic Republic occupying Iran. So anyone who says to you that this isn't Islamic terrorism, this isn't like Islamic, expansion or whatever, they either don't know or they're lying, because they themselves are literally admitting that what they are doing is part of this global jihad, right? They're calling themselves mujahideen, and that's what Islamic terror groups call themselves, mujahideens, fighters of jihad. Okay, so you're hearing it from themselves, coming from their own mouths, right? So to everyone who's like, oh, Goldie doesn't know what she's talking about, no, I actually do know what I'm talking about. And here is the evidence, again, not coming from me, it's coming from them out of their own mouths. Anyone who refers to themselves as a mujahideen, they're basically a jihadist. They're basically an Islamist. I mean, what the hell do they care about what's going on there? Isn't there supposed to be a ceasefire there anyway? Although, I mean, Hamas broke the ceasefire. But, I mean, this is how all these jihadis operate. As soon as something happens, they just, start talking about how they're going to attack Israel. It's the most ridiculous, low IQ thing ever.
That's what they want. They want Gaza. Yeah, they want to destroy the state of Israel. And Israel's sitting there saying, what did I do? Nothing to do with us.
What's really, interesting, I guess, is that all of these like jihadis and all of these like pro-Palestine whatever people are starting to blame Israel. They're saying like Israel created this conflict. Again, like it's just so transparent how these people operate. I mean, Israel has literally nothing to do with what's going on in Sudan, and yet the Islamists all of a sudden want to blame Israel again. Do you see how these Islamists will always find a way to attack Israel and the Jews? It's their MO. It's what they do. So that's why you can never trust them. You can never take anything they say seriously.
You have to get us involved in your genocidal jihad. Anyway, there are more disgusting footage coming out of Sudan, which is not being covered by the mainstream. The next clip I'm going to show you is moments, seconds, before a Christian family were unfortunately wiped out. All of them. Every single one. Yeah, so this is happening. No international outrage.
See, so again, that video is from the Islamists, right? It's the jihadis. What they do is they film civilians before murdering them, right? And they take joy and pleasure in that. It's horrific.
And it continues. Now, when you look at the history of Sudan, before...
So, guys, so this is important. So one of the reasons I'm sharing this with you is because he does provide a good historical summary of Sudan and why it is what it is today. And a lot of people will blame this on, British colonialism. But what's happening in Sudan has nothing to do with British colonialism. In fact, it has everything to do with Arab Islamic colonialization, which goes back centuries before British colonialism.
And after the British Empire. The evidence is there. The British Empire was the only period in time in history that Sudan, as a land, had stability and peace. Before the British Empire, places like Sudan were tribal, warlords were everywhere, no organization, no discipline, no nation state. Absolute chaos, looting everybody. The British Empire came, made everything stable, created infrastructure. Once the British Empire left, things went back to square one, like many other places in that continent. Now, those who go around and make things black and white, saying that the British Empire always was the problem, here's one example, showing that not only it wasn't the problem, it was a solution. It created an actual society. Things have gotten worse and will continue to get worse because those tribal nonsense that you used to get in Sudan before the British Empire used to stay in Sudan. Now it's coming to your doorsteps. Wherever you're watching this from, whether you're watching this from Australia or Canada, France or Denmark, it's coming. It's here. The tribal mentality it no longer stays in Africa or the Middle East. It comes to you now because the liberal globalist governments have opened the doors. And if you complain about it, you're the problem. Instead of actually helping these places remotely without intervention, there's only one way, trade, global trade. They are bringing the tribalists into your Western countries. They are funding and supporting both sides in each of these places. They are doing divide and conquer without any objective. When the British Empire was using tactics, whether it was to divide and conquer or to back one side against the other side, there was a plan. It didn't always go well, but there was a plan. Most of the time, it created stability. Now, we're talking about different century, different standards. Nobody's advocating to bring back empires. We don't say that. But for the standards of those days, the empire that abolished slavery, the moment it left, slavery went back to Sudan. It's happening now. Women and children who are Christians are being used as slaves. Nobody cares in the United Nations. Nobody cares in the International Court of Justice. All they want is the gold. All they want is the resources. They don't care about people. They don't even care about your own people, your own governments in the West. What do you expect? Let's get some reaction.
So there's sort of a brief sort of overview from Tusi, and he did a really good job. Except again, the part about Russia, I don't agree with because again, Jossam said something differently, and of course, he forgot to mention the United States involvement in this. So now that you have sort of a brief overview, now you have a little bit more context. I'm going to go back and I'm going to replay the voice message that I received from my friend Josim. Unfortunately, he's not able to join us today because he is busy, but I'm going to try to get him on the live stream next week, because Josim is incredibly knowledgeable about this stuff as it relates to the involvement from various Middle Eastern countries, right? He's a reporter, he's an investigative journalist. He has been sounding the alarm on Islamic terrorism and the Muslim Brotherhood for quite a long time. Let me just go to some of your comments here. I don't think we reached the super chat count, but that's okay, guys. So Yoav says the French had hold it, and their criminal exploitative policies in Africa led them to work with the Russians. That's definitely that's a good point as well. I mean, there's history of colonialism there. History of colonialism there is definitely significant, but what they have with the European or British colonialism, it has more to do with the Arab Islamic colonialism that's being pushed by the Muslim. I think my mic was muted. All right, I'm back. I don't know why my mic was muted. Okay, so audio. All right, so I think my mic was muted by mistake, guys. All I just said, I was just responding and saying that colonialism definitely sort of played a role in it, but the conflict that we're seeing today has nothing to do with British colonialism. It has more to do with the Islamic colonialism with the Muslim Brotherhood, which is what we are currently experiencing. So let me go back. I'm going to play for you again the audio from Josim. So this is Josim. If you don't follow him on X, make sure you do so. Again, I'm going to try to bring him on next week if I can. So here we go. Listen to this. Okay.
Oh, of course, everyone will go after the Emirates now. So look, Al Burhan is representing the SAF. Oh yeah, on a quick.
Oops. Okay, so he says Al Burhan, right? Al Burhan is representing the SAF. So this is where is he? Al Burhan. Here he is. Okay. So this is Al Burhan, okay? So he's a Sudanese military officer who's been the de facto leader of Sudan since 2019, and he is the head of the Sudanese Armed Forces. So the Sudanese Armed Forces are the ones who are backed by the Muslim Brotherhood. They are the ones who are filming themselves murdering, Christians and yelling Allahu Akbar. Okay, so that's the Sudanese Armed Forces. They are backed by Turkey, Egypt, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the Islamic Republic, occupying Iran, and of course the Muslim Brotherhood. So this is the SAF side.
Okay, Sudani Army Forces. And he has been linked with the jihadist militants in Sudan. Everyone who says Allahu Akbar, everyone who is killing the people and taking selfies with, they are from the SAF.
Okay, so all those people yelling Allahu Akbar and murdering people, that's the Sudanese Armed Forces. This is the side that's doing it.
So he needed some army forces with the help of Turkey, Egypt, and Qatar to bring down Hamiditi.
So now he's now referring to Hamiditi. Okay, so this is Hamiditi. Hamiditi is the leader of the RSF. Okay, so this is the RSF. This is not an Islamist militia, but they are like an Arab supremacist militia. Okay, so again, guys, I'm not like, there's no good side here. Like, the way I look at it objectively, both sides are bad. Both sides are responsible for civilian casualties and civilian deaths. But when we're talking about the genocide of Christians in Sudan, that's happening by the Islamists. Okay, so there are casualties on both sides. But again, all those images that you're seeing of blood on the ground from satellite images. That's not from it's not the Rapid Support Forces doing that. It's not the RSF doing that. It is the SAF, the Sudanese Armed Forces, are the ones doing that. Okay, so I just want to make that distinction clear. And Hemedti is basically the leader of the RSF, right? The non-Islamist militia group.
The RSF. So
yeah, Gandalf, that's a good way of put it. So the mass killings we're seeing is the SAF, all those people who are waving the guns and yelling Allahu Akbar and all that. That's the SAF. Not to say that the RSF isn't it's not. They are also murdering people, but the mass killings and genocides and ethnic cleansing of Christians, which the SAF is trying to blame the RSF for, it's actually the SAF doing it. So they're trying to blame this guy, but it's actually this guy who's responsible for the killing of the Christians in Sudan. All right, let's continue.
Hemedti is they were allies, by the way. Both of them. They were allies until the 2023. After that conflict happened with.
So these two guys, so the RSF and the SAF were allies until 2023. So up until 2 years ago, this guy and this guy were allies. What happened is, and let me pull this up for you, because what happened is the Sudanese civil war. Okay, so I'll pull it up for you. I'll give you a brief intro. So both sides used to be allies until 2023, when a civil war began between two rival factions of the military government of Sudan. It involves the Sudanese Armed Forces, led by Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, RSF, commanded by General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, commonly known as Hemedti, who also leads the broader Janjaweed coalition. Several smaller armed groups have also taken part. Fighting has been concentrated in the capital, Khartoum, where the conflict began with large-scale battles, and in the Darfur region. Many civilians in Darfur have been reported dead as part of the Masalit massacres, which have been described as ethnic cleansing or genocide. Sudan has been described as facing the world's worst humanitarian crisis. Nearly 25 million people are experiencing extreme hunger. On January 7, 2025, the United States said it had determined that the RSF and allied militias committed genocide. So again, guys, both sides have committed genocide in the past, and basically continue to commit genocide. Although right now, the images of mass genocide that we're seeing is happening from the SAF. They're trying to blame the RSF. So again, like I said at the beginning, guys, there's no good side here. Both sides are bad, and unfortunately, it's the innocent civilians in Sudan who are paying the price for this with their lives. So that's sort of a primer on what happened. So again, going back to what my friend Jassim was saying here, okay. So Jassim said that up until 2023, both of these sides were actually they were on the same side, right? So let me go back a little bit here and play that again.
Which the Emirates pushed that conflict to.
So this is okay. Let me go back a little bit because this is important. 449. So he basically says that 2023 conflict, right, was pushed by the United Arab Emirates at the time. So the UAE pushed that civil conflict because, of their interests in gold. Okay. So the reason that today, the SAF, or, the reason that today, Qatar is blaming the UAE for the current violence is because of what happened in 2023, which Jassim is saying the UAE pushed that civil war. And that's now resulted in sort of what's going on. So there are a lot of factions and elements to blame here, but it's more complicated than people think. So let's go back and listen to this.
Turkey, Egypt, and Qatar to bring down Hamiditi, the RSF. So Hamiditi is they were allies, by the way, both of them. They were allies until the 2023. After that conflict happened, which the Emirates pushed that conflict to happen, and then the war started. The Brotherhood had a project to overtake Sudan once again, because the entire Sudan was under the Brotherhood for over, I think, 35 years.
So the Muslim Brotherhood had basically been controlling Sudan, and the United Arab Emirates did not like that. So that's why they were pushing for this civil conflict. Also because the UAE is it has interest in gold as well. So again, there are several layers to this, right? I'll definitely bring him on, but this is sort of like a very, very basic summary, like intro 101. You're getting the narrative that you would not get in the mainstream media, because unless you're intimately familiar with Sudan, with Middle Eastern dynamics, you won't be able to fully appreciate the nuances of what exactly is going on here. Like it's not a black and white situation. So and that's why I'm sharing his voice, because he obviously knows much more about this than me, and I want to make sure that I'm always bringing you the accurate information that you will not hear about in the mainstream media.
Okay. And the previous president of Sudan, he was Omar al-Bashir. He's a Brotherhood guy. Sorry. So the Emirates wants to take down the Brotherhood ideology from the region.
So the reason the UAE is against the SAF, okay, so again, this is Jassim. If you're not following him on Twitter, make sure you follow him on X. Very, very intelligent person when it comes to the Middle East, and when it comes to Muslim Brotherhood and Qatar, and speaking out about all of that. So where was I going with this? Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. Okay. I forgot what I was going to say, but we'll go back and pay attention. Oh, right. So what I was going to say is the reason that the UAE is against the SAF. So again, this is the SAF, right? Like this is the one that's in control of the government. The reason the UAE is against the SAF and wants to take them down is because they're part of the Muslim Brotherhood, and the UAE is actively fighting the Muslim Brotherhood. Okay.
No matter what it takes, because Sudan is also another threat to Emirates' financial and economical channels.
So he's referring to the gold, right? So Sudan currently, because it's occupied and controlled by the Muslim Brotherhood, that poses a financial and economic threat to the UAE, right? In terms of, I guess, access to gold and to the ports and things like that. And he's going to speak about the ports in a bit. So there you go. So there's the UAE's interest in why they pushed for this civil conflict in 2023 to try and overthrow the Sudanese Armed Forces and to remove the Muslim Brotherhood control from that area, which, as Jassim said, they have been in power there for about 30 to 35 years. And from what we saw, that update from Mahir Tusi, apparently one of the main figures in the SAF has now been arrested. So we have to see how that's going to play out.
They were fighting to get the Port Sudan and other ports under the control of the Emirates, so they can secure all the the ships that are embarking the Emirates and going around the world. So and the Emirates are in the ports management business. They manage ports in the United States, I think they have parts of them in Europe. And Erdogan.
So that is the UAE's interest, right? The financial interest there is the ports and also access to the gold mines as well.
And Egypt, they were competing with the Emirates. Look, it's not going to make sense to you when you look at the topic from the Emirates and the Egyptians are allies, so they have to be allies all the way. No.
So he makes a good point there. So he's saying just because certain countries are allies in another scenario or situation doesn't necessarily mean that they are allies here, because the UAE and Egypt are allies on other files, but when it comes to Sudan, the UAE is on one side and Egypt is on the other side, right? So that's also important here. So if people want to contextualize this in, okay, these two countries have always been allies, and so they're going to be allies here, you're going to get it all wrong. Sudan is a totally different scenario, and I think one of the reasons a lot of people are maybe not fully understanding it is because they just assume that allies will always be allies, and he's just saying like that's not the case, and if you look at it from that perspective, then you're not going to understand what's going on.
No, Al-Sisi now is playing a different game.
Al-Sisi is the president of Egypt, so he's saying when it comes to Sudan, Al-Sisi is playing a different game with the UAE, and they're not allies on the UAE file.
And that game is like also it's a part of a competition that is happening between the Emirates and the Saudi Arabia.
So what's also happening, because Saudi Arabia is also backing the Sudanese Armed Forces, right? Saudi Arabia, in this case, is backing the forces that are, the Muslim Brotherhood forces, right? The Islamist forces. And so in other files, Saudi Arabia and the UAE are usually on the same page, but when it comes to Sudan, they're on opposite sides.
So the Egyptians are backing the Saudi Arabia, and that's why you're trying to see now the Emirates are trying to, get closer to the Egyptians emotionally and ideologically. So,
so do you see all like the political maneuvering that's going on, not just in Sudan, but like between various countries in the Middle East right now, and how there's almost like this, there's a struggle for power in terms of who is going to control Sudan, right?
It's terrible. It's terrible. So the Emirates are supporting Hamidati, and Hamidati is the one who wants to overthrow the Al-Burhan.
Okay, so again, this is the current de facto leader of Sudan. He is the leader of the SAF, and this is Hamidati. He is the leader of the RSF, right? The Rapid Support Forces, and now he is trying to overthrow the other guy. They were on the same side prior to 2023. 2023, there was a civil war conflict, which Jassim confirmed. Jassim, this is Jassim here, which I'm going to bring on next week, hopefully. He confirmed that that was sort of started and encouraged by the UAE, because the UAE wanted to have more control in Sudan, especially with access to Sudan's resources. And so this civil conflict began. And apparently now the UAE is basically wants the Muslim Brotherhood out of there, because the UAE is also fighting the Muslim Brotherhood and has banned the Muslim Brotherhood.
Okay.
And I just want to be very clear. I don't mean like boots on the ground, right? Like we're not talking about like UAE forces or anything like that. No. This is all like people in Sudan typically. I mean, I haven't seen any videos or images of like external proxy or paramilitary forces in Sudan yet. If anyone has seen anything like that, let me know, but I haven't seen anything like that yet. But when I say supporting one side or the other, it's financially, through arms, diplomatically, politically, that kind of stuff.
So when you look at this, a conflict from if you zoom out and you look at the macro level, you can see that the Brotherhood, which is like Erdogan, Qatar, part of Egypt, they're trying to help al-Burhan to be in the power because they...
Right? So this guy, okay, al-Burhan, he is the Islamist, right? So he is the leader of the Islamist militia that wants to basically spread Islam, conquer Africa. And it's his people that are currently genociding Christian Sudanese. Like, they're basically taking advantage of this conflict to engage in mass murders. And so the 3,000 Sudanese people who have been massacred in the last few days has been from this side. However, Al Jazeera and Qatar are trying to blame the other side for this. And in fact, Al Jazeera actually put out an AI generated image claiming that that was the RSF. I don't know if you saw it. It was like, let me see if I can find it. It was this AI generated image of like a woman, with like guns, like the shadow of guns. I think I have it. Let me see if I can find it. Because that's important as well. Let's see here if we can find it. Where is it? It's like this. I mean, there's already so many horrifying images coming out of Sudan that no one actually needs to. Okay, it's this image here. This image here. So this image, it turns out that this is actually an AI generated image that Al Jazeera put out there, and they claimed that this is the RSF, right? So the RSF is the non-Islamist side. The RSF is engaging in genocide and massacring Christians. It was actually found out, this is fake news. This is actually not a real image. It's AI generated. But this is what Al Jazeera does, right? And the reason that Al Jazeera did this is because, first of all, they are a propaganda mouthpiece for Qatar. They're a propaganda mouthpiece for the Muslim Brotherhood. They're a propaganda mouthpiece for the Islamic Republic occupying Iran. And of course, they are a propaganda mouthpiece for Hamas. So in the same way that Al Jazeera was putting out fake news and images about Israel, they are now starting to do that about the UAE, right? And the reason is because it is their side, right? It is the Islamist side that is going out and massacring Christians, taking videos and images of themselves and putting it online. Very similar to what Hamas did on October 7, right? Hamas is the Palestinian branch of the Muslim Brotherhood. So all of these jihadis are pretty much, the same. They operate the same. They behave the same. They think the same. And so this image was spread far and wide. And this is where the false narrative has come in, that it's the RSF who's responsible for massacring Christians in Sudan, when it's actually the SAF, right? It's the Sudanese Armed Forces that are responsible for that. And that's the fake image that went out there. So, all right, let's continue with what Jassim says now.
I think that this is much easier to control the Brotherhood rather than throwing them out. And the Emirates, they have a different strategy. They said we have to
So he's saying that Turkey, Egypt, Qatar, for them, it's easier they think it's easier to control the Muslim Brotherhood because they're all sort of, involved with it somehow. Whereas for the UAE would rather just get rid of the Muslim.
are backing the Emirates. That's another part that you can focus on. The United States are backing the Emirates, not Qatar and not Saudi, not Turkey, in this file. So it's super complicated. But the ones who are using the jihadists are not Hamidati. It's from the SAF, not the RSF. So, yeah, just a brief, on what is going on, and the other insights can be discussed, when the time occurs. Thank you, Habibti.
Okay, so now that I because I played this audio for you at the beginning of my live stream. I played it again for you. Now I broke it down and I explained every little piece and I provided context. So now I'm going to replay the whole thing again uninterrupted. And I hope that this at least, now given what I have shown you in the last hour and 15 minutes or so, this explanation makes more sense now as to what is currently happening on the ground and where a lot of the disinformation and misinformation is coming from. Again, the way I see it, both sides are bad. But when it comes to the ethnic cleansing and genocide of Christians, that is the Islamist side doing it. So all those horrific videos and images of the massacres you're seeing right now, that's all the Islamist side, which is the Muslim Brotherhood side, but they are trying to blame the UAE for that. And also now they're trying to blame Israel as well. Like it's just wild, right? These jihadis are wild. So here you go. Here's his full explanation, completely unbroken and uninterrupted.
Oh, of course, everyone will go after the Emirates now. So look, Al-Burhan is representing the SAF, okay, Sudanese Armed Forces. And he has been linked with the jihadist militants in Sudan. Everyone who says Allahu Akbar, everyone who is killing the people and taking selfies with, they are from the SAF, okay? So he needed some army forces with the help of Turkey, Egypt, and Qatar. To bring down Hamidati, the RSF. So Hamidati is they were allies, by the way, both of them. They were allies until the 2023. After that conflict happened, which the Emirates pushed that conflict to happen, and then the war started. The Brotherhood had, a project to overtake Sudan once again, because the entire Sudan was under the Brotherhood for over, I think, 35 years. Okay, and the previous president of Sudan, he was Omar al-Bashir. He's a Brotherhood guy. Sorry. So the Emirates wants to take down the Brotherhood ideology from the region, no matter what it takes, because Sudan is also another threat to Emirates' financial and economical channels. They were fighting to get the Port Sudan and other ports under the control of the Emirates, so they can secure all the the ships that are embarking the Emirates and going around the world. So and the Emirates are in the ports management business. They manage ports in the United States. I think they have parts of them in Europe. And Erdogan and Egypt, they were competing with the Emirates. Look, it's not going to make sense to you when you look at the topic from the Emirates and the Egyptians are allies, so they have to be allies all the way. No. Al-Sisi now is playing a different game, and that game is like also it's a part of a competition that is happening between the Emirates and the Saudi Arabia. So the Egyptians are backing the Saudi Arabia, and that's why you're trying to see now the Emirates are trying to get closer to the Egyptians emotionally and ideologically. So it's terrible. It's terrible. So the Emirates are supporting Hamidati, and Hamidati is the one who wants to overthrow the Al-Burhan. Okay. So when you look at this, you know, a conflict from if you zoom out and you look at the macro level, you can see that the Brotherhood, which is like Erdogan, Qatar, part of Egypt, they're trying to help Al-Burhan to be in the power because they think that this is much easier to control the Brotherhood rather than throwing them out. And the Emirates, they have a different strategy. They said we have to defeat all the Brotherhood in the region. Russia are backing the Emirates. That's another part that you can focus on. The United States are backing the Emirates, not Qatar and not Saudi, not Turkey, in this file. So it's super complicated. But the ones who are using the jihadists are not Hamidati. It's from the SAF, not the RF, not the RSF. So, yeah, just a brief, you know, on what is going on, and the other insights can be discussed, you know, when the time occurs. Thank you, Habibti. The IRGC are supporting Erdogan in this. And this is the first time the IRGC are going against Russia. So you can see how big it is. So everyone is trying to keep the jihadists and the Brotherhood militias around because they share the same, you know, ideology with the IRGC, and they have the same structural system. And the organization of the IRGC are in a very good terms with the Brotherhood and the jihadists in Sudan. So, yeah.
So, guys, it seems as if the UAE currently has no other, I guess, allies on its side in this Sudan conflict. Everyone seems to be taking the side of the Muslim Brotherhood, right? Turkey, Egypt, Islamic Republic, Qatar, Saudi Arabia are all supporting the Muslim Brotherhood. However, Jassim did mention that the United States and Russia are supporting the UAE. You know, they have their own interests in this. But one thing I want to point out is, you know, regardless of what's going on, the reality is that innocent people are being massacred, and it's just such a horrific thing. And I think more people really need to understand this. And I think something needs to be done to support the people in Sudan, because it's the videos coming out are heartbreaking. You saw a few of them in what Tusi was saying there. And what's really frustrating for me personally is that the Islamists, right? So the people who are the side that is responsible for mass genociding Christians in Sudan is the same side that is creating AI generated images, and they're blaming the UAE, and they're also blaming Israel now. And we're starting to see that narrative. You know, a lot of trolls in the chat, but also a lot of people on social media are claiming that Israel is behind this. And it's just a load of utter nonsense. But guys, like, this is how jihad works, right? You rally the troops and you find a cause to go after the Jews and annihilate Israel. It's literally the MO. And the reason that they're now going after the UAE is because the UAE does have a peace treaty with Israel. The UAE fights Islamism and the Muslim Brotherhood. And so the UAE is now starting to be targeted as well by these Islamists. And so I just wanted to share a post here from Amjad. Amjad is he's from the UAE, and he's a big peace activist and speaks a lot about various issues related to Islamic terrorism in the Middle East. And so he wrote, a new video exposes how Turkey, Iran, Russia, and China bankroll a Muslim Brotherhood-led army in Sudan. So again, so he says Russia is backing the Muslim Brotherhood. Jassim says that Russia is backing the RSF, the other one. So I'll have to ask him about that. I'll have to dig deeper into that. Russia seems like it's playing both sides here. I don't know. But I'll definitely get Jassim's input on this. So, but Amjad says they're bankrolling a Muslim Brotherhood-led army in Sudan. Basically, he's basically calling the SAF the Hamas of Africa, a brutal force that massacres civilians in El Fasher, executes women, and uses AI to fabricate Hollywood-style scenes for propaganda. Guys, where have we seen that before? We've seen that with Hamas, right? Like, that's what Hamas has been doing for 2 years, and now they're starting it up again in Sudan. They commit atrocities, then weaponize Western media to silence critics like the UAE and the US. He's going to be a little bit biased because he is from the UAE. While their networks prepare to shift, this is the important part, while their networks prepare to shift the blame onto Israel, right? And again, we've already started to see people trying to blame Israel for what's happening in Sudan, even though Israel has nothing to do with it. But again, this is the Islamic jihadi mindset, right? Any sort of conflict, just go and blame Israel. And Tusi showed that video. Let me just find it here as well so I can play it after, where they say they're gonna, like, here we go. Oh, I have it here too. Okay. So let me play this video, and then I'll play the other one where the SAF is already like threatening to like bomb Israel or okay, I got the audio problem fixed. I think it's my laptop here. All right. Right, so this is that fake image I just showed you guys, right? The fake image that Al Jazeera put out there, and then that was basically promoted by all of the pro-jihadi accounts on social media. This is what they're talking about, that fake image, right? So a whole bunch of AI-generated images were put out there to smear RSF, and then, you know, blame the UAE of genocide when it was actually the SAF that is still engaging in the mass genocide of Christian Sudanese, right? This is the AI image that Al Jazeera made. So this is a real image. Sorry, this is a real video, and it's absolutely horrific. The SAF, again, was blaming the RSF for this, but this was actually the SAF. So this was the Islamists, right? The Muslim Brotherhood side who are doing the murdering here. And like this is basically the ethnic cleansing of Sudanese Christians, but they're blaming the RSF for this. look at that. It's wild to me that they actually they don't even bother to take away the Sora logo from the AI videos that they're putting online. Like, this is how low effort and low quality it is. But for some reason, people believe it. The same way that they put out a lot of AI generated images and videos about, the fake genocide in Gaza. Now they're doing the same thing, right? It's always the ones who are responsible to blame others. So in Israel, it was Hamas that was responsible for the genocide of Jewish people, yet they claimed that they were the ones being genocided, which is completely false. They're doing the same thing, the same exact tactic in Sudan now. I mean, they think they can get away with it. But I mean, look, that's an AI generated logo right there from Sora. This was also AI generated. Just so much AI generated nonsense that's been put out by the Muslim Brotherhood, Al Jazeera, Islamist side, right? Like they're basically trying to, again, push this false narrative, and then eventually blame Israel. Like guys, this is what they do. They don't care about innocent people. They don't care about saving lives, right? All they care about is fueling their jihad, and the way that they can do that is by creating fake content and blame it on others, right? Because they want to make it seem as if they're the victims. Meanwhile, they're the ones who are literally massacring thousands of Christians in Sudan. Again, it's all of the jihadi, pro-Hamas accounts, right? It's all the jihadi pro-Hamas accounts that are pushing all of this AI generated content. It's a grift, guys. It's a grift. They figured out how to make money from it, and so they're just continuing the grift. Like, they murder people and then they accuse others of genocide. It's really scary how people can just just be fooled so easily by AI generated content. So someone in the chat said, I know a Zio when I see one. I'm 100% Zionist. I believe in the right of Israel to exist. I'm Israel Chai. I think the two-state solution is Israel and Jordan. So yeah, I think all the land belongs to Israel. So there you go. I don't know. If you want to put, I've said it before, I'll say it again. There you go. All right. So now I want to show you this video. So again, like these are the jihadis, these are the Islamists. So they are literally massacring Christians in Sudan, and yet at the same time, they're claiming that they want to attack Israel, right? So they're trying to rally the global Islamist jihadi forces to their side to once again go after Israel, because even though President Trump worked really hard on a peace agreement in the Middle East, which I believe Hamas has broken that ceasefire agreement anyway. But the same Islamists, right, the Muslim Brotherhood, is now trying to start another sort of PR attack against Israel, right? Like it's never ending, guys. It's never ending. This is just it's a constant loop with these Islamists and jihadis.
ان شاء الله حنصنع مسيرات تمشي من الخرطوم لحد غزه وتدق تل ابيب ان شاء الله. مع اخواننا المجاهدين في فلسطين كلها. Right? Again, listen, when they refer to mujahideen, right? Mujahideen, that means Islamic terrorism, right? Fighters of jihad, they're waging jihad. So I mean, guys, in their own languages, they don't mince words. They call themselves mujahideen. They call themselves fighters of jihad. They call for genocide. They call for the murder of Jews, right? It's only in English that they try to gaslight you by mincing words. But when they're speaking in their own language, they don't hold back. And this is the kind of stuff that you don't necessarily see in the mainstream media, because this doesn't fit the narrative, right? This does not fit the narrative. كلها خصوصا في غزة، ونحن بنفتكر انه المعركة واحدة، العدادة لكل الأمة في أفغانستان وفي العراق وفي تونس وفي ليبيا وفي اليمن.
Again, like, so these people in Sudan are trying to like globalize the Intifada, right? Like, this is what globalize the Intifada means.
في البوسنة وفي أذربيجان كله عداء واحد، وبعد ما نخلص من حوالات ان شاء الله هذه السرايا وهذه الكتائب وهذه الجحافل طوالي كلها تبلغ غزه ان شاء الله. بعد ما ندق وجهنا نضيفه ونسحقه ان شاء الله.
Honestly, there's like nothing more idiotic than a bunch of like low-level IQ savages. But again, these are the ones who are massacring Christians right now. So guys, I hope that gives you a little bit of an input and insight into what's happening in Sudan. I kind of gave you the intro 101. The images and videos coming out are horrific. There's definitely an element, like there are financial interests here for sure. There's also an element of jihad, Islamic terrorism. Innocent civilians are being massacred because the Islamists are taking advantage of the violence and everything that's going on to advance their goal of jihad, right? That's the Islamic Muslim Brotherhood goal, right? And the fact that they even end it by saying that they're going to wage war against Israel, right? Like this is what jihad is. And unfortunately, the innocent civilians in Sudan are paying the ultimate price for this with their lives. So yeah, it's horrific what's happening in Sudan. Sending my thoughts and prayers to everyone there. I will keep an eye on the situation, continue to monitor it. It seems like there's going to be a lot of developments happening in the next few days. One of the key leaders in the SAF, that's the Islamist army, who was responsible for massacring people and filming them before massacring them, he was apparently just captured. The UAE put out a statement condemning the violence on all sides at the United Nations today. So it seems to be a lot happening. But I hope that this was at least gives you a bit of a primer into what's going on, because there is a lot of fake news out there, and a lot of biases, I guess. But for me, I'm looking at this objectively, and for me, my only bias, I guess you could say, is to be an advocate for the innocent people who are being slaughtered, and to be a voice for them, and to at least do something to stop the violence. So thank you everyone for joining. A huge thank you to our members, Goldie's gang. Keep an eye on the message board, because one of the perks of being a member is you kind of get sneak peek access to the topics I'm going to be discussing next week. So I'll be putting something on our members only message board soon. So make sure you take a look at that. And yeah, we'll see you all next week. Thank you everyone for joining. And as always, Payanda Iran Janjaweed Shah.